King Tut was buried with two daggers. One was made of gold, the other was made from a metal that literally fell out of the sky. And somehow, more than 3,000 years ago, ancient craftsmen turned that piece of space metal into a blade that was still clean, sharp, and almost perfectly preserved when archaeologists found it. So how did an Egyptian pharaoh end up carrying a dagger from space? When Howard Carter's team examined Tutankhamun's mummy in 1925, they discovered the iron dagger lying beside his right thigh. The blade was about 13.5 inches long, it had only a few rust spots, and its edge was still extremely sharp. The handle was decorated with gold, colored glass, and stone, with a rock crystal knob at the end. Even its sheath was made from embossed gold, but the iron blade presented a mystery. Tutankhamun lived during the late Bronze Age, long before iron became widely used in Egypt. Copper and bronze were familiar material, but were generally reserved for valuable ceremonial or royal objects. So where did this remarkably well-made iron blade come from? For decades, researchers debated whether it had been made from ordinary iron ore or from a meteorite. Then, in 2016, scientists examined the dagger using a portable X-ray scanner. The test allowed them to measure the blade's chemical composition without damaging it. The results were hard to argue with. The blade contained approximately 10.8% nickel and 0.58% cobalt. That particular combination is characteristic of iron meteorites and is very different from ordinary iron produced from material mined on Earth. In other words, King Tut's dagger really was forged from a meteorite. But that only answered where the metal came from. It did not explain how ancient craftsmen turned it into such a smooth, symmetrical, and incredibly well-preserved weapon. Another study, published in 2022, mapped the nickel across the blade. Researchers discovered traces of natural crystal pattern found inside certain iron meteorites, along with tiny sulfur-rich inclusions left inside the metal. Those features revealed something important. The craftsmen probably did not completely melt the meteorite. Instead, they appeared to have heated it at relatively low temperature, below approximately 950 degrees Celsius, and carefully hammered it into shape. That preserves some of the meteorite's original internal structure. Just think about that for a second. Someone took one of the rarest materials available in the ancient world, a piece of metal delivered to Earth by a meteorite, and learned how to forge it without destroying it. And the story may reach beyond Egypt. Researchers have suggested that the dagger might have been manufactured in ancient kingdom of Mitanni, in the region of northern Syria in Anatolia, before reaching Egypt as a royal gift. One of the ancient Amarna letters even described an iron dagger with a gold handle being presented to Tutankhamun's grandfather, Pharaoh Amenhotep III. It is an intriguing connection, but has not been proven. We still don't know exactly which meteorite supplied the blade, who forged it, or precisely how it ended up with Tutankhamun, but we do know this. The dagger is not evidence of alien technology. It is evidence of human ingenuity. Long before ordinary iron weapons became common, ancient craftspeople found rare meteoric iron, recognized its value, and developed the skill required to transform it into something extraordinary. So yes, King Tut really was buried with a dagger from space, but maybe the most remarkable part is not that its metal came from the stars. It is that more than 3,000 years ago, someone here on Earth knew exactly what to do with it. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button, subscribe to Project Curiosity, and come back for the next mystery. Until then, stay curious and question everything.